What's the biggest red flag you overlooked because your significant other was so hot? He got into a car wreck because he installed a PlayStation in his car and he and his friend were playing it while he was driving. Interestingly enough, his ex cornered me at my place of work right as I started hanging out with him, and she warned me about him. I brushed it off and wrote her off as crazy. Sure enough, literally everything she said came true. Her warning always lived in the back of my mind and eventually helped me get the nerve to kick him out. I've always wanted to run into her again and thank her and apologize for calling her crazy. When I asked her dad for her hand in marriage, he said, "Are you sure you know what you are getting yourself into?" He was not joking. Every time we fought she would call her mom and after minute hand me the phone and start to go down on me while her mother told me how she was and how I had to treat her. Fucking nuts. Her sister told me, "You're not seeing the real her, she's a cunt." Oh boy, I should have listened. Update, we are back together. Update 2, we are no longer together and she's lost 15 pounds and is semi-addicted to cocaine and having sex with her dealer. My ex and I had an argument as we were going to bed. Realizing that we weren't getting anywhere, we decided to deal with it in the morning. I fell asleep and she kept fuming to the point of her turning towards me and punching me in the kidneys. I woke up unable to breathe. I don't react well to violence and just got dressed and left the apartment for night. She apologized in the morning and we talked it out and in some warped logic agreed that since she is so petite, her hitting me was not a big deal. Nah, it is a big deal and there is no justification for violence. He had his own name tattooed on himself. I brushed it off as quirky. It's gotta be a joke, right? There's no way a real live person could be that comically narcissistic, right? Long story short, he eventually started playing recordings of himself singing and playing guitar, while I pleasured him. The cherry on top was that he never reciprocated and was by far the worst lay I've ever had, like I did not know the depths of how disappointing sex could actually be. And I'm not even gonna go into the emotional disappointment. I'm ashamed to admit that our relationship lasted almost a year because I was in denial that someone so good looking could be such an irredeemable pile of crap. He nearly got us killed tons of times while he had his initial D-like fantasies of going around tight corners super fast and cutting it real close with rock walls, despite how many times I told him not to. Panic attack nearly every time I had to hop in the car with him. Any pleasant, romantic, sweet, loving, gratuitous thing I did he would treat me like shit. When I would show zero interest in him for being such a dickhead he would treat me like royalty. Pull out every stop, every trick in the book to romance me and make me forget about it. When I would be sweet back it turned him off. The more I ignored him and rejected him for being a total asshole, the more he wanted me. It was this weird game. After a while I grew tired. I didn't want to play anymore. He believed the Necronomicon was real and claimed to have done several incantations from it. Every single one of her friends told me not to date her. I watched her be abusive and manipulative towards the guy she was dating when I met her and we were still just friends. For some reason I thought it wouldn't be like that with me. It was. She also told me herself, when we first started dating, that she was really fucked up and that most people who dated her ended up hating her. I didn't believe it. She turned out to be really fucked up, and I ended up hating her. Facebook wall covered with those really trashy fake friends cause drama posts written in cursive. It's a red flag, my brain knew it, but my dick thought it knew better. She referred to herself as #bossbabe and worked for Herbalife. He moved way too fast and kept pressuring me to have a baby with him. After knowing him for 4 months. Oh boy. Edit, I forgot the best part. He made me pee on a pregnancy test in front of him during our breakup because get this, he thought I was pregnant and was going to keep the baby from him. Edit again, this happened in 2013. No babies happened. but I heard from a mutual friend that he started dating someone at the end of 2016, the GF was still married, and they were married by May 2017. So, good riddance is what I am saying. She was always on her phone, but never replied to my texts. When they say every guy/girl I've met has abandoned me, and I didn't do anything wrong or something along those lines. If everyone else is always the problem, then you might be the problem. Didn't faze me though because tits. Constantly suggested I murder her. Ex wanted me to wear a mask of her ex's face during sex. Alcoholism, we were both young. I didn't think any of it until I started to reflect back on it about a month into the relationship. We had literally drank every single night we were together. And we were together every single night without fail for 3 months. She would either pick me up from work and have a case of beer in the back, or I would go visit her at her place and she would already have a bottle of wine on the go. The biggest red flag should have been the first 2 nights we ever officially hung out. I picked her up from her friend's house because she needed a way home. The entire way home she just kept telling me how much she wanted to have sex with me and how bad she wanted me. She couldn't even keep her eyes open. I told her how uncomfortable I was because she was so drunk and I was so sober. The next day I told her what transpired and she would tease me and call me a pussy for not doing it. It was such a huge conflict in my morals. It took me 3 months to finally walk away from that, and almost $3,000 later, but I'm glad I was able to. No one was worth that kind of mental pain. That she was addicted to heroin. I thought I could help her. Bad idea. Ended up getting strung out myself. Whoops. Damn. I hope you find your way out, man. I feel like whoops is by far the best possible way to react to this situation. Held my hand, looked deep into my eyes, and wistfully protested, "Don't finish your schooling in the city an hour away, I am afraid you will meet and like someone else instead." What is that Bohack quote? If you are wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. He was dumber than a rock. I swear to Christ he was the walking inspiration for Derek Zoolander. Walking and screwing were about the only things he could do without breaking something or causing something to go wrong. He attempted to wash my dishes with laundry soap. Was apparently unfamiliar with two-knob showers and couldn't figure out how to make a hot shower happen at my place, until he asked. Could not, to save his life, remember where I lived or what apartment I was in, even after coming over 5 times. Thought the US president had the same unilateral powers and reign as a monarch. Confused the 4th of July with President's Day, assumed his work schedule was incorrect for scheduling him on President's Day as they must be closed, and simply did not go in. Consistently told me our star signs were Plutonic together, still unsure what he meant. Upon learning that shelter dogs were always fixed, asked me why there were so many puppies then. I made it through 3 weeks. If I'd have stayed with him I'd have had to develop a heroic drinking problem just to cope. Good Lord, was he hot though. I seriously didn't want to admit he was also profoundly dumb. She said, "Don't post pictures of us online, my ex owes me money and won't give it to me if he sees I'm with someone." She was still dating him. We found out about each other, obviously. He and I talked it out and became friends. She went on to cheat on more guys. Currently have plans with a girl who threatened to kill herself because I was on the phone with my mother, who she thought was another girl. At the time that incident occurred we had been on 2 dates. She fine though. He was a drug dealer who lied about literally every single thing, had me sharing my location with him at all times, and constantly cheated. Since then I've gotten my self-esteem out of the trash can, but I still am so mortified when I think of how low I was, and how he took such advantage of that. But he was so hot. She was super into her looks, wore lots of makeup, talked negatively about other women's looks, watched the Kardashians as much as humanly possible, talked about Instagram constantly, and oh my god, as I'm typing this out, I can't even remember what the hell we ever did while we were in the same room together. As soon as sex got boring, our relationship was over. Makes sense now, but at the time, I tried like hell to make it work, yet simultaneously, I had no idea what to do. Sacrifice is something other people do for me. Apparently I was dating a Disney villain and didn't notice.